Welcome to TAMA Talks, brought to you by the Torrance Art Museum Advocates. I'm Janine Madden, current TAMA president, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in today. Our talk will feature work currently on view at the Torrance Art Museum from the exhibition The LA6 and the Underground hung in the main gallery. So if you're planning a trip to the Torrance area anytime soon, I highly recommend you take some time to stop in and see this fantastic show before it closes on September 10th. TAM hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is located at 3320 Civic Center Drive in Torrance. And because it is a municipal museum, it's a program of the City of Torrance Cultural Services Division of the Community Services Department. Admission to the museum is free and donations are accepted and very much appreciated. You can find the TAM on the web at www.torranceartmuseum.com. This discussion will be recorded and will be posted to our YouTube channel and all of our, along with all of our previous TAMA talks. And you can get to it from our website, www.tamadvocates.com. Joining us today is American artist Frankie Orozco. Frankie's work was recently featured at Durden and Ray last October when they presented as the LA6, an exhibition of 6 prolific Los Angeles documentary and street photographers offering a unique glimpse into the lesser known reaches of Los Angeles. What I'm about to talk about now is from the Durden and Ray press release. The works in the exhibition included photographs of 1980s LA gang culture, the low rider scene of the 90s, the hip hop generation, the Mongols Motorcycle Club, East LA and South Central backyard punk scenes, landscapes of the city, and intimate views of Los Angeles's Skid Row. The prevailing image of Los Angeles is one shaped by the glamour and glitz of Hollywood celebrity culture, yet underneath this shimmering facade lies a city that remains largely hidden. The LA6 is a creative response to this cultural underrepresentation. Photographs from the LA6 reveal the beating heart of the city filled with hardworking people who build strong communities, often without public assistance or recognition. The works presented by the LA6 are a growing, shifting historical archive. In some cases, the photographs represent a city that no longer exists, while at other times provide a view into the first threads of social and cultural trends. Frankie's work depicts an up-close look at the Mongols Motorcycle Club, a group regularly labeled as criminals by the status quo, and photographed from the perspective of an insider and aspiring member. The curated show last July, To Live and Die in LA at the Justice Center in South Central, had a similar theme. So I'd like to thank you so much for joining me today, Frankie, and we're excited to hear more about your start in the art world, the inspiration for your photographs, and your experiences at both Durden and Ray and the TAM as part of the LA6. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Sorry. There we go.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about my experiences.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you sent us some slides, some images, excuse me, that we put into a slideshow to talk a little bit more about your work, what's at the TAM, also some of your other work, and let you tell us a little bit about your experiences in this outstanding world of photography. So I'm going to go ahead and share again. So the show's opened on July 16th and it runs through September 10th. Did you go to the reception?
Oh yeah, I was there. I look forward to those for sure.
Good, good. I heard that it was very, very well attended, almost one of the best ones they've had. So
We expected it. We had a lot of local legends that were involved with that show, and yeah, they tend to draw a crowd.
great, great. All right. So this piece, you were saying, is actually hanging in the Torrance Art Museum right now.
Yeah. So this is one of three images. It's the set that's more important than the individual photos in this case. This right here is a picture of a couple of well-respected guys that everybody knows. And yeah, I happen to catch a pretty cool candid moment between them.
Do you want me to go to the next? You'll just let me know next slide and we'll go through the set.
Next slide. Next slide. And he's one of the first members of the Mongols Motorcycle Club, and he's old school. You know what I mean? Like, and he's not really. He didn't like cameras, but
Yeah.
he liked me, so he let me get a cool portrait of him. Yeah, it's mustache Eddie.
Fantastic.
Next slide.
There you go.
And this is just another moment. So on this day, I actually rode. I was in the pack, and we were attending a funeral. This was all three slides are from this one day, which was about 3 months ago, something like that. And yeah, we were writing for Ken Dog, chapter 13, and that's what that function was. The reason why I chose to show these three photos is I'm a digital photographer. For the past 4 years, I've only shot digital, and it got redundant at a certain point about 6 months ago, and I felt it was too easy. It wasn't a challenge anymore, and I decided to try film, and it completely rejuvenated the art of photography for me. And this was the first roll of film that I took to a function. This was the first time that I had photographed in film my documentation of this club, and it was like my 9th roll of film right here, and these were the three best images, and that's why I chose to show these ones.
Fantastic. So interestingly, when you're using film, then do you lose the ability to edit the material like you do with digital, or even with digital, do you just leave them in the pure form?
They're, for the most part, in a pure digital. I do a lot more editing because it's accepted.
Sure.
So I up the contrast, I bring out the blacks a little bit, and up the clarity a little bit. That's digital. With film, I didn't know how to go about that originally. I had a lot of conversations with well-respected photographers and asked them their opinion on this what you're asking me. And it turns out, as long as you can do it in a dark room, that's what you could digitally kind of, I guess, remaster or edit it, as long as it's something that you can physically do in a dark room. So on these, I just touch it with Lightroom, a tint. Okay. I lowered the exposure.
And did you, is there also a reason why you chose to do all of the images? Are all of your images in black and white, everything you shoot?
For me, there's less distractions. It gets to the point. I've always been attracted to anything black and white, even like films. There's been a few times where, people take that leap and they'll do a black and white film. And even when I wasn't into photography, those stood out to me. And so I think it's to the point, and I choose, it's the look that I like. Great.
Fantastic. Yes, you're not the only photographer that I have spoken with who has said the exact same thing, is that the addition of color, while visually stimulating, is almost overstimulating, and it really draws your attention away from some of the more important elements of the work. So let's go through what else you've provided for us today.
So this was part of that roll of film. This isn't displayed at the show. Only those three were, but this is just a photo of me. I'm on a motorcycle, in this pack, and we're going to the meet spot for the funeral. So this was that day, and I had an opportunity to break out my camera, take a quick shot, and that's what I came up with. It's pretty cool.
Fantastic.
This was at a function with the chapter that I hang around with, and it was an anniversary party. These guys came from Bend, and when you're at a function like this and you see out-of-towners like this all the way from Oregon, it shows you a level of respect for that particular chapter. And that's why I decided to take this image. And it turns out like I love this image because they're locked in their eyes.
Yeah.
They're shaking like men shake hands. And yeah, I love this image.
Great, great. Blurry on my end. I don't know, intentionally, could be me.
No, that's a look. So he's
Okay.
in focus left, and then he's kind of like
Yeah.
an afterthought, blurred out a little bit. But this is just a function. So just one of many functions that I went to. I love this image because it just screams brothers. You know, these guys are in the same chapter, and I always see these two together. So I love this photo for that reason. I wanted you to see this photo because it's the best one that I got of the guy on the right hand side. That's JB, and he's passed away about 6 months ago. And it's just for me, the composition I love on this photo. I love the light peeking in from the top. And yes, I wanted you to see this.
And the car is amazing.
Yeah, this is just a photo I like because, you know, there's often, you know, deep conversations going on at these functions. And most of the time, you know, I'm not supposed to hear these conversations, not because of anything illegal or anything like that. It's just not my business.
Sure.
And so I like this photo for that reason. You know, the guys on the left, I know them, and they're having one of those conversations. The guy on the right, he's such a good man. He calls me every month. This is my 30-day check-in, you know, and I like the fact he's throwing a peace sign.
Sure, sure. Are you at liberty to talk a little bit about their the vest?
Not really. I mean, it
Okay.
is what they have patches and
Sure.
yeah.
And so and the patches, I'm assuming are I'm not assuming anything. They're just I'm assuming that you don't get the vest like that when you first join.
Well, you got to go through a process and
Sure.
get ones on the back, and that's
Yeah.
a process itself. And then a lot of those that you see are like on the right hand side, those little ones, those are for people that have passed away. So those
Ah,
are memorial tabs.
okay. Okay.
This is just one of my favorite shots because the guy underneath where they're shaking hands there, he's looking at me. And
This guy here.
no, the one on his left right there, in between them two,
Yeah.
right there. His eyes are on me. You can't really tell in this photo, but he
Okay.
sees. It's pretty cool to me, and they're shaking hands. That's their style of shaking hands. And then that bridge right there, there's a significance because here in Los Angeles, this bridge has been about a 6-year project, and it's now complete. And this was one of the stages. So that was my backdrop to documenting it at this location. I got 4 years of photos with this bridge progressing with this club.
Wow. Okay.
And that's just typical, you know, that's at the same location. And this is a chapter deciding to call it a day and go home.
Sorry, I'm just taking it all in, right? Just because I'm assuming that this is now, like this is in 2022.
Yeah. Everything that you're seeing is from the past 3 years.
Yeah. And you just look at this street and you even just look at the telephone poles and you think, and the shoes, and it could just be like New York City, 1960, right?
Yeah,
But it's Los Angeles where, you know, 2 towns over, all of the electrical poles are, you know, all the electricity is underground.
yeah, exactly. And this is just another function. I thought it was cool. It's my way of paying respect to Nevada. These guys are always coming out here to the functions, and I wanted to take a picture of them here. This one here is just, it's typical. The cops come by and they're being nosy, and I just wanted to capture it. That's that photo.
Okay, I think we have one more.
Oh, this is Lenny's funeral. Lenny, rest in peace. I was asked to do a video, like a memorial video, and this is just one of the shots that I got. Again, these guys are from Indiana. They came all the way over here to pay their respects to Lenny, and Lenny was one of the originals, you know, way back, and I just thought I would show this photo.
So it's a group then that, despite state lines, does it only exist here in the United States, or can you say?
No, it's worldwide.
Oh,
Worldwide.
okay, okay. All right, I think this, let me just double check. I might, oh, yes, this is my favorite, my absolute favorite. Love this piece, love it.
I wanted to show him, because he is an actual drug counselor, and he's all about the sober life, and he's a man of God, and he's really an advocate for sobriety. Like, he's out there, and you know, with the stigma that comes along with them wearing those cuts, I just felt it was necessary that you guys see this photo and know who he is. He's one of the good guys of society, you know, despite what he's wearing.
It's a great photo.
Thank you.
All right, I am going to stop sharing. There we go. So this is a great opportunity for you to kind of just tell us a little bit about your journey, a little bit about, you know, we talked a short time on the phone before we met today, but it sounds like the journey that you have had into the world of art isn't necessarily what others may have experienced. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
For sure. Yeah. I started doing photography about 5 years ago, and I was going through a divorce, and it was a tough time. And my wife now, I was dating her back then. She had a camera, and she gave it to me, and I used it as therapy for like a summertime. I was doing street photography and trying to find something, right? And I came across this group, and I didn't only want to photograph them, but it was their way of life. It felt familiar to me, and I wanted to be around this group. And I started documenting that. I started bringing my camera around every now and then and documenting it, and falling in love with photography and the response that I was getting. So I decided to try to approach galleries and stuff like that, and really nobody. I would go into a gallery and they were like, nah. Like, I would.
Yes, I saw what some of the responses were in the
Yeah,
article I was reading, so they were not fully embracing it.
they weren't. And I knew my photography was special. You know, I know that there's something special about it. And I mean, they're making movies of, you know, or TV shows, Sons of Anarchy, kind of
Yeah,
talking about this lifestyle. It's relevant, you know.
yeah.
And I knew it was something, and I'm like, what, you know, why don't they want to see it? And that put a chip on my shoulder, because all these people that I was talking to were like, I knew that they're out of towners, you know, they're coming here from Minnesota and going to art school, and now all of a sudden they're in control of our local art scene. And it made me feel a certain way. And I went ahead and tried to explore options to get my own spot, and rent out a spot and throw a show. It's surprising. This right here, this is actually I'm now leasing office space in the first place that I did a show at. It's in this building. So they rented me this building, and we threw a 1-day art show. It was just 10 local photographers, and the response was amazing. And ever since then, that's kind of what I'm concentrating on. I take my camera and I use it every now and then to document still what I'm doing with the motorcycle club. But I'm concentrating on trying to bridge the gap between our local photographers or artists and get them into the local art scene, like real art scene, through this event. So that's what I've been doing.
And has the so is that pretty much how the LA6 came about?
Yeah. So the second to live and die in LA, which again was in this building, there was a gentleman named Merrick Morton, and he's in TAMA with this LA6 show right now. He had a lot of powerful stuff from the 80s that I had never seen before. His wife told him, "Hey, you should put that on social media." So when it got my attention, I'm like, "Oh, we got to get this guy." And sure enough, he was in the show. But it was the process that made him think that, hey, there's some good photographers in this building. We should do something. So he called a meeting with me and wanted to build a group called the LA6. He even had the name and everything. And yeah, that's how this group came about. Was we all met here.
So how what was your initial reaction when and Max is in his own is in a motorcycle club as well.
Yeah.
And so what was your reaction when did he approach you, or did you approach him to for the Durden and Ray show? Because I know that Durden and Ray represents Max, right? There's an
Yeah.
interesting, I'm not sure I know all the little nuances there, but I know that Max has obviously curated shows there and has shown there, and I'm not sure if they sell his work, but how did you get into that Durden and Ray show?
Through Max. So yeah, Max, I'm not sure the role he has there, but he got me that opportunity, or got us that opportunity.
Okay.
Hope is Hope, who works at Ham,
Yes,
is
Hope
the one.
Mhm.
So Hope found me and sent me a few emails in, I think, 2018, 2019. And I didn't take it serious, to be honest. I kind of ignored it. And then when I really read it, I'm like, oh shit, is that a museum? And so I responded, and that's Hope brought me to Max.
Okay.
Max, I think we're like-minded in the
Yeah.
social circles that we hang around with. And so he reached out and invited me to be in a show. After that is when, actually, I was in 2 museum shows prior to the LA6 Durden and Ray thing, I believe. And then we did this now at Torrance Art Museum
At the Torrance
together.
Art Museum. Where do you see it going from here, or where would you like it to go from here?
But real quick, I know he probably doesn't want to hear this, but Max has been instrumental. I don't know if you heard exactly what I just said right now, but so that's 3 museum shows. He gave all us opportunities and invited us to Durden and Ray. He's been instrumental in this, and I just think he deserves credit for exposing us.
As an artist, I mean, I've known Max for the time when we lived in Los Angeles, and as an artist and a curator, particularly at the museum, I've always really admired his desire to find and promote emerging artists in Los Angeles. I mean, he has a big palette of international, artists as well. He reaches, he's just a worldwide phenomenon. He really is. And he's super humble about it and doesn't really, you have to self-promote as an artist, but from the realm of how many fellow artists he has like you say, I don't take what you said lightly, because I completely agree with you 100%. I think that personally, the city of Torrance doesn't really realize the gem they have in Max. And so I'm so pleased that you're able to convey just how instrumental he was in getting you on the map.
Getting and getting a whole lot of set of eyes on Torrance Art Museum. It's a different crowd that museum wouldn't have reached, and all around he's doing good things, all in every direction, as far as I'm concerned.
He really, really is. So back to my question then, where do you see this going? What kind of trajectory do you see this taking now, the LA6 as a group? And you talked about, so you hit on a couple of topics. One is, I don't think many of us who are watching today recognize that there actually is a cost to the artist to show at a museum. And also, I lost my second one. So I'm going to let you talk to that first one, and then hopefully it'll pop back into my brain.
Yeah. So yeah, it depends on the facility, right? And
Okay.
but in this, we basically, we have to pay for our own stuff, and for me, it's not a big deal because I'm at a point in my life where I can do that. It's okay. It hurts a little, but yeah, we had to pay for our own stuff.
Sure.
It's okay. It's the opportunity that is more important than anything, to be honest.
And can you speak to what we were chatting about earlier in the being sorry, I'm trying to put it so you're not allowed to be paid for the images that you take, because that whole complexity of your relationship with the group, I think, is something we didn't touch on, but I find it fascinating and feel like we could probably do a whole nother TAMA talk just on that.
Yeah, no, for one, cameras have not been a thing that's accepted.
Sure.
The timing was right for me, and because of social media and the break of social media, that I got an in, and I was able to gain trust and everything like that. But typically cameras really aren't a thing. They get shied away. Nah, get out of here with that shit.
Right. Right.
So, but I take these photos and I ask permission. I have to go and ask permission. Can I display these? And it's a process. So there's that aspect of it. And that's so every one of those photos that you saw right there, I had to go to every member and ask permission. Do you mind if I use these photos for whatever? But yeah, obviously make any money on it, right?
Right.
That's one of the rules is I'm not able to capitalize on these photos. It's purely for the art and trying to spread a positive message. That's what I'm about, spreading a positive message and humanizing this club. And I'm not making a profit off of it. No.
Yeah. And that humanizing aspect of it, I think, like you said, or I should say the Durden and Ray writers said in their press release, that idea that, there is a perception of motorcycle clubs in general. And it's like anything else, actually. It's like any other kind of discrimination. I really feel it just stems from an incredible lack of knowledge and understanding, and there's a lot of judging.
That stems from, in my opinion, tax dollars. They have to spend money, they have to make money, and they're basically spending a lot of money, and people are making a lot of money by doing these investigations and making these accusations, and it's a money machine, I think, and these guys just pay the price.
Sure. And I think for most things, I know that Max has touched on this in a couple of our previous TAMA talks. In art in general, the amount of money that flows through the art and that flows through the art world, and often on artists who are not even alive any longer, all of that money that could go toward living artists, it's just a disproportionate amount of money that isn't necessarily going to the people who make the art. So,
right.
yeah. Well, this again, the show at the TAM Art Museum, Torrance Art Museum, will be up through September 10th, and it'll come down then. So we're really hoping that people can get out to see it. Do you want to expand a little bit about any of the other pieces in the show, or have you, it sounds like you've developed, would you say that your relationship with the artists your fellow LA6 artists is complementary? Meaning you're all trying to kind of elevate each other's work, or is there a bit of competition in there as well?
No, we're all trying to elevate each other's work. There's well-established, like Anthony Friedkin that's a name in the photography world, and he doesn't need us, and he's just inspiring us, and happy to be valid, be a part of something new. Esteban Oriol is another guy that, I mean, he has 2 documentaries on Netflix within the past 2 years, and he's okay without the LA6, so he's not in competition. And me and like Suitcase Joe were fortunate to be part of that group with Merrick Morton, who has all these historic photos. So if it's inspiring, because I could tell you, like Merrick Morton, he's learning something from me because I have a certain hustle, and I'm taking from him. It's just a group that we're inspiring each other for sure. And we're planning to go and shop this thing worldwide, Berlin, Tokyo. We want to go abroad with this, and we think it very well would be embraced over there in those parts of the world.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you the absolute best luck in doing that. And again, your work is amazing. I hope that folks from far and wide will stop into the museum and check it out, and spend some time in front of it. And like you said, we went through the images very quickly today, but these are images that deserve a look. And they really transcend what might be written on the label. And Max typically isn't a big label guy at the museum, so the images are there to stand in front of and contemplate. And I thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Please.
Are we out of time?
We are not out of time. Feel free. I know that you said you had an hour, and I do too, so I wanted to make sure we were respectful of that.
It's okay. So I just, if this is about the LA6 and the show that's there right now, people should know that my work is just one of many, many pieces that you'll see right there. There's history there. There's legends there right now. Deffer is an old school graffiti artist who turned it into a fine art, and he's a Los Angeles legend, and he's got 2 beautiful, huge pieces there that definitely deserve to be seen. Esteban Oriol, he has a series there, a real powerful series, and you should look up that name and check him out. But Max wanted to add different mediums, and he did a great job. There's this installation artist, S.C. Merrow, who does street art. She goes and she'll alter a fire hydrant into a little, I don't know, whatever. She alters things that are out there in the city and creates art with them. And there's an installation that's pretty damn cool from her that's there now. And then Show's art, I believe, is a Skid Row artist, and he's got some really cool portraits right there. And we have a tattoo artist named Tonantzin, who it's a pen artist, and she does it on a handkerchief, and her detail is amazing. And this is one of the artists that I brought from To Live and Die in LA. She had never been in a museum, and now she is. It's pretty cool, and definitely go support and check her out. Another one is Jacqueline Valenzuela. She has these really, really complex paintings, large scale paintings of a mixture of like lowrider culture and architecture mixed with this contemporary art. It's really, really cool. So I just needed to touch on that. There's a lot to look at, so definitely go check it out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's helpful. Like I said, these TAMA talks are primarily reach audiences that may not be able to get back to the museum. Like me, I'm in Boston, so I'm not gonna be able to fly out there to see the show before it closes on the 10th. So it's very helpful to me to hear what's going on there. Also their social page, so the Torrance Art Museum's social page, as well as some of the artists who will post and then share to the page. So social media and Instagram are really helping for these highly visual shows that are happening at the museum and in and around LA. So I thank you for letting us know about some of those other artists. So that large sculptural risk piece.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big,
So now, and so one of the artists in LA, the LA6 completed that piece. Yes.
no, that's a guest artist. So the
Oh,
only ones
eh,
are the photographers. Those are the
okay.
ones that sticks.
So LA6 is strictly photography, and
Yeah.
then you and so then Max was bringing in some other elements to kind of round out the show.
Yeah, and most of those are just friends of ours, so it's pretty
Oh,
cool to have them involved.
that is great. And you did say that you participated in Nomad last year, yes?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was the biggest, I think, the biggest scale-wise art show I've ever seen.
Yes, and he has another one planned that's even bigger for next summer. So we're gonna keep our eye on that, and that's a developing piece as we speak. So
So, and if you guys want to see where this all started, on February 25th, I'm going to do my 6th To Live and Die in LA, and that's kind of where this group stemmed from. So yeah, check it out, February 25th, if you're in the LA area, To Live and Die in LA, with the number
great.
2.
With a number 2, I will try and slip in a link to that, as well as a couple of links to some of the work that you've done. I'll try and put those in when I post this on our social, and I'll edit this and get it up on our YouTube channel so that everybody can look at your wonderful work and listen to your very, very inspiring words. I think that you said something just a minute ago that I didn't want to interrupt, but you were saying that you brought one of the other artists in to the show. I think you were saying she hadn't been in a museum before, so you're kind of doing what Max is doing for others and for you, and that's really what this is all about. And when you talk to Max about shows that bring together artists who may or may not have worked together before, I think he's really all about relationship building. And that mutual, that's what Mass Attack was, right? Like that mutual admiration of what you do and how it's not easy. And contemporary art and you refer to it as fine art, but art in general is just not as easy, I think, as people make it out to be. And so particularly contemporary abstract art, and even your photographs that are highly, highly representational. I mean, I'm looking at them and I know exactly what I'm seeing, but do I? I need to spend time in front of them. And to be honest, if you're not there right next to me, sort of explaining, then there's a lot that I can miss. So
Yeah, those are hard to get. Yeah, those are hard to.
yeah,
It looks simple.
but when you're there to kind of give us the background on those kinds of things, it's one of the reasons why I encourage people to go to the receptions, because when the artists are there to talk about their actual work, it really makes people feel differently about the work, I think.
That's a great point. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, it's just better that way for sure.
Definitely, definitely. All right, well, I'm going to let you go. And again, thank you so much. I'm glad that we were able to make this work out.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Absolutely. Good luck.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.